see you. Bruce wiped the pearls of sweat that had erupted on his forehead. Mimi was an addiction, a flesh and blood manifestation of the very worst in him. She made him feel sick and weak, and she wielded her power with cunning alacrity. But that toxic part of his life was in the rearview mirror, and it had to stay there. He couldn't go back. It would ruin him. No, our relationship is over. It never should have happened in the first place. Her voice transformed into that ugly, husky scraping, like bone against bone. I gave you everything, Bruce. Everything you ever wanted. And you discarded me like a used condom when something better came along. You owe me this. So don't keep me waiting. I'll pick you up at the usual place. He listened to the dead air of an ended call and stared at the revolting mustard curtains, as if they might inform him of the right decision. Maybe just this one last time. Predictably, his lack of resolve ignited self-loathing, but the transgression would be worth it. If you'd never enjoyed the danger of sex with a psychopath, you hadn't lived. Chapter 2. For the fourth day in a row, rain swept through downtown LA in silvery oblique sheets, driven by a fierce wind. Overtaxed storm drains regurgitated gray water that pooled in the streets and on the sidewalks. The normally desiccated Los Angeles River, not a river at all, just a concrete flood channel cleaving the city, roiled and foamed as it raced to sea with a woeful collection of debris. It was an excellent time to dispose of a body there, Detective Margaret Nolan thought. Once it hit the Pacific, it would be gone for good. She was mesmerized by nature's fury as she watched the slashing sideways rain out the window of the LAPD administration building, colloquially known as the Glass House. All morning, over-caffeinated meteorologists who usually had nothing to talk about in Southern California prattled on about apocalyptic weather. They spoke with deranged glee, the tacit message being the end of days was near, time to gather flora and fauna and build an ark, time to kiss your ass and life as you knew it goodbye. The sure antidote to boredom and low ratings was hyperbole. Admittedly, the weather was strange these days, but hadn't weather always been strange? Antarctica and Death Valley had once been lush tropical forests. Europe had experienced a little ice age in the 16th and 17th centuries. Maybe it was time for SoCal to become a rainforest once again. The city founders had been aiming for that since the first Los Angeles aqueduct had been completed in 1913. That clever piece of engineering had drained the Owens River and the Owens Lake to supply water to a new paradise at the expense of a fertile, productive valley. The destruction they'd wrought over the years could easily be administered by Mother Nature in relative minutes. But Nolan wasn't interested in the politics of water or climate change at the moment. She was interested in her partner, Al Crawford, who was stuck between exits on the backside of a 10-car pileup on the 101. Why did people turn into abject idiots behind the wheel when it rained? He answered before the phone rang on her end. The sound of rain pounding his car was thunderous, but it didn't drown out the aggravation in his voice, which had escalated since the last time they'd spoken. Where are you now? I'm in exactly the same spot I was when I called you 20 minutes ago. I can't even squeeze through with the gumball. It's a freaking wall-to-wall disaster, and half the assholes around me are getting out of their cars in this monsoon. Like that's going to help. He paused his rant to refill his lungs. You're calling with a body, aren't you? Culver City. Meet me there. I just texted you the address. Take deep breaths and don't kill anybody. It would look bad on your performance review. He grunted. I'll try my best. Try harder. Yeah. See you sometime next year. She pocketed her phone and watched a solitary figure on the plaza below fight the elements. The brave soul and his tattered blue umbrella were losing. Enjoying the scenery? Remy Baudreau's low, smooth voice behind her startled as much as it catalyzed a furious rush of endorphins. She loved the sizzling high, but hated that she was a feeble pawn to biology in even the most inappropriate circumstances. She came from a long line of control freaks, and had probably absorbed the trait in the womb. Hormonal autopilot contravened her most basic principles. She turned and nodded curtly.